Welcome back, everybody, for another episode of Kailash Chronicles with Mohanji. As you all know, we have started this new episode podcast series with the past participants who have traveled with Mohanji to Kailash, and their experiences inspire us and motivate us to travel to Kailash. If it inspires you, please watch, share, and like what you see. So today's participant, we don't have to really say much about her. We all know her as Devi Mohan. She's wife of Mohanji that we're going under. She herself has a lot under her name. She's ACT president, which is a charity organization. She's an ambassador to Mohanji Foundation. She's a healer, and you name it, she does it. So she's a great person that we can all connect to when we need her. So I don't have to introduce much further. And she has been to Kailash 3 times. I just found out just a few minutes ago. I was under the wrong impression. She's only been there twice, which is 2014, 2016, the Devkum, and 2019. So
18.
19. That was
Was
the
it 19? Oh, yeah, that was 19. Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
So in all these 3 years that you have gone back, I know each one represents a different experience, different take on Kailash. Which year has given you the most profound change? Before you answer that, I wanted to tell the viewers that Devi G has written many blogs on these things. So if you want to read those things along with it, please do check them out. And now I'll give it over to Devi G.
Thank you, Vivani. Yes, I've written a blog called The Mirror Called Kailash. So it's a Devi Mohan blog, or it's on my website. It's also, I think that it's also on there. There's a separate blog.
Yes.
Wherever it can be found at different places. Also, the book about Kailash with Mohanji book. A lot of those texts are in there. Well, Kailash definitely, completely put me on a different track on a highway, like a different timeline altogether.
We
So
want to know those things.
my life completely changed with Kailash Yatra. So when Mohanji went first for Kailash Yatra, I think it was 2012. I was devastated because I couldn't go. We had a small child. Mila was really small at the time, like 1 year old, and of course I'm breastfeeding and I can't go. Secondly, I have a job. And then every year, as people were excitedly talking about Kailash, I just couldn't go because I was working for Mercedes-Benz in Middle East. That's the time of Ramadan, and that's where you sell the cars the most, and nobody gets a day off during Ramadan, especially the non-Muslim workers. So I was kind of it was very evident that I will never go for Kailash because you can't go to Kailash at a different time. It's end of July or early August,
Okay.
So then I took it as a signal that this is it, like either I choose Kailash or I choose this corporate lifestyle. And it became clear to me that my path is not corporate world, So that was like a turning point in my life when I said no to my CEO, and he tried to keep me here. He wanted to offer me double the salary plus some benefits in additional training in marketing and high career in Mercedes-Benz world globally. And I'm like, no. So that was it was Kailash that helped me to come out of the trap of corporate world and this pretense of safety and security within the packages you get, and I totally honor if this is somebody's choice, but I know it's not the life that fulfills me, so I can say this Kailash Yatra helped me to make that step. Secondly, when I went for Kailash Yatra, and I came back, I was literally not the same person. So the way Kailash empties you out, it literally sets the ground for your spiritual awakening. It's so the last time I went, I read the book In the Search of City of Gods in the area of Shambhala by Ernst Muldashev. And he's Russian expert for iridology, and he studied the origin of human race based on the eyes. So he has his scientific proof that we all originate from Kailash, that was the first point of humanity. And many people talk about this higher civilizations always interacted with humanity, the so-called aliens, but I would call them the beings of higher consciousness, and that the easiest portals where they can enter this earthly realm would be places like Kailash or maybe Sedona in Arizona, the holy mountain of the Red Indians, Native Americans, right? So there are some Mount Shasta, for example. So there are some of these locations on planet Earth, but none can compare to Kailash. Kailash is special. Kailash is a pyramid in a sense, and there are within Kailash, there is another smaller pyramid, which represents the Shakti. And this is where Ernst Moldashev said, this is the power place. So it's like
Where is
literally
this located? I know you had mentioned this. Have you witnessed that in your journey? Did you?
Yes, I have. I was looking at it, the east face of Kailash. You can see that. So it literally looks like a smaller Shakti on the lap of Shiva. And there's a little snow-capped dome on top, which is never without snow. And the height of this small Kailash, or that Shakti aspect of Kailash, is such that nobody can climb small Kailash. It's just impossible.
The one you're talking about, it's part of the inner Kota, actually. No one, all
yeah.
of us who've been to
The closest to
not
it is Saptarishi Caves. Saptarishi Caves are close to that. So Ernst Moldashev says that where that feminine version of Kailash, which he calls the small Kailash, at the top is, I don't know how he knows this, but he says there is the most powerful crystal on planet Earth. It's called Shantamani stone. I remember clearly from the book. And it can even influence human mind and thinking. So it's very dangerous for this to come into wrong hands. So that's why it's very guarded and protected. And there, the secrets of Kailash are immense. There are definitely very high beings there, masters, living for hundreds of years. There are scrolls about human history at some locations. There's like all kinds of stuff in there. And the whole route that you follow during Kailash Yatra, is basically designed for human enlightenment. So as you walk around Kailash Yatra, you go through different, sorry, Mila is trying to call it. You go through different places where you literally pass through these different energies. So he says there's one area, like it's called the mirror of time. And if you stay there too long, you can age. You can
Where
your
is this
age. It's
where
all, I took photos of because I was reading the book, I saw the drawings. And then as I passed during this usual Kailash Yatra that we went for, everybody goes for that, the usual Kailash Yatra, you can see those mountains. So I could recognize those places. So he says there's a reason why you're doing the Yatra. Nobody lives there. You're not supposed to stay there. You're walking through. And just like when you don't take certain medicine in a higher dosage because that could destroy you, but in a normal dosage, it will help you. So you literally pass through a process. You literally pass through a process where you go through different stages of this journey around Kailash, and you go through different energies, and we all felt like something is squeezed out of you, right? There's a specific type of ego bashing and cleansing that you go through that at the end you feel so empty, and this is the greatest blessings. As Mohanji always says this beautifully, on spiritual path, it's wiser to ask what you have lost rather than what you have gained, because we don't know how to get rid of the clogging in our system. We need to lose those heavyweight stuff that we carry, and that's what Kailash does to you. It just empties you out. You feel empty at the end, but that emptiness actually creates space for divine energy to come through, right? So definitely it's not designed to be comfortable or easy or in any sense kind of a adventurous tourist joyous trip. That's not Kailash, you know. So if you're going for adventure, go to Machu Picchu or somewhere, you know. Don't go to Kailash. So it's really for people who are on spiritual path and they really want to, you know, challenge themselves to use this lifetime for the highest, to get liberated, you know, so that you are going to the crown of Mother Earth, you know, the most powerful location, the place of power, you know. And the energies you get yourself exposed to there are serious. It's no joke. But you really, I don't think, I have not met a single person who's been to Kailash and was like, okay, now we go back to life as usual. There's no back to life as usual. You definitely feel different, you know. So I was blessed to go 3 times. Twice was the usual Kailash Yatra, and the one in the middle was the inner Kora, you know. So these are all 3 were unique and different, each one in their own sense. But I guess the most transformative one was the first one, you know, the very
I wanted
first
to ask
one.
about that. I think that's the one that I read when you came back, and I was so inspired by your journey because it resembled my own. And
Yeah.
I want you to explain to the viewers what was the biggest challenge you faced, because I had the same challenges. I don't want to talk about myself. I'd rather hear it from you because this is one aspect that we all need to be mindful of when we go to Kailash. And I think you shared it beautifully. And I think we will have this blog for the viewers to read if they're interested. So it's Miracle Kailash you have written. That's
No,
like,
the mirror, like the mirror, you look yourself in the mirror,
yeah,
the mirror called Kailash, because it
yeah.
really mirrors back at you what you brought, you know. So when you come for Kailash Yatra with the right attitude, you know, what you will see in the mirror will help your spiritual evolution. If you come with ego, you're definitely going to get ego bashing. So we saw people who are like, oh, I train, you know, for years, I go to gym, I'm very this or that. And then when they start climbing La Dolma Pass, you know, they'll be like, the gym is gone, you know, all those moments of confidence are washed away. The muscles mean nothing. So, and then I saw this one guy with big muscles and he was like crying. And then there's these 2 grandmas from Australia chit-chatting as if they came to a marketplace with their walking sticks. And then they pass him by, you know, they're faster than him. So that was the funniest experience. Yeah. So definitely what you bring to Kailash, the attitude with which you come will determine, you know, the outcome. And I sometimes wonder the last time when I went, I'll start with that one. I was like, there was a big group from the Balkan region where I come from, and I thought some of them were VIPs, and I just felt like, gee, you know, I should go for this one and just to help them out, you know, because there's like a lot of cultural differences. And I thought, now I'm already experienced, you know, it's my 3rd time, and I'm just gonna help them out, do some Maitri healing sessions for whoever needs it, and just be there for the people, you know. So, and I kind of assumed that it will be easy for me because I already know what it is. I'm more mentally prepared, you know. And then so I did go through Dolma Pass. I went to Gauri Kund again for the 2nd time. It's like really challenging to go there because right after the toughest part where you climb La Dolma, where you have this it really hits you. The high altitude sickness will hit you. It's very challenging to climb. You know, like it just squeezes out every ounce of energy from you. And then you climb on top, and then there's Gauri Kund, which is not on the way, which is to the left, it's to the right, you know. And then you have to go additional, going down the hill through like really sharp rocks, and then you reach the actual Gauri Kund, the Lake of Divine Mother. It's like a jewel. It's like turquoise colored jewel, amazing frequency of water. So it was my great wish to do it again, and I did. I went with a couple of friends from Mohanji Foundation. All of us went together. It was just amazing. And then, you know, off I went, but I made a mistake. At one of those tents, I ate some this Maggi noodle kind of stuff. And I don't know why, probably those chemicals in that irritated my stomach. And I got this, disturbance in the stomach where you feel like your stomach moves up towards the diaphragm, and then you feel so sick that you can't even walk, and you feel nausea, you feel like sick in your stomach. You just can't function. So even if you lie down, you still feel sick, not to mention walking. And I just couldn't move. I just couldn't move for a while, and some of them did not even notice they went. So I stayed alone. I was all alone with my stomach ache, with this nabi moved up. The stomach went up, and then I had like a Golgotha of walking for it. It takes another, I think, 4 or 5 hours to walk from that tent, which is below the when you come off Tolma, to the final destination.
Okay.
And it took me additional 2 hours, I think. So it's like for 6 hours I walked with the stomach moved up, and it was just so tough. It was like the toughest thing. And it was dark and horrible. And then I finally reached the destination, but I was looking for someone who can massage the stomach and bring it down, because I can't function. And then luckily Zoran, whom you, Milicic, he does this kinesiology. So he saved me. He pressed some points and pulled my big toes. I can't remember what he did. Pressed some points, and then. But I remember I went to my room and I threw up from the window.
No, it's not an easy journey, right?
It's just horrible. Yeah, I was in a horrible state, and so there you go. I thought I was gonna handle it, help the others, and in the end I was the last one to arrive, and I felt horrible. But then the third day it was completely fine. It was just this issue with the stomach, but it's a big issue when you're in that situation. So you never know what's going to happen. You can it was a lesson for me, because I went with the attitude of like, oh, I'm just going to help others, I'm handling it. So I think it was a lesson for me. You better not lose your humility in any sense. Like, you don't assume you're going to handle it. You need to go with utmost humility and just say, whatever happens, I will do my best to complete the yatra. And I go with no expectation. That's the only way you can go. And just to be in full surrender and just keep chanting a mantra, thanking divine, connecting with the consciousnness, and just go step by step.
It's amazing what Mohanji had said during one of the smaller private satsangs, that whatever your thoughts are, whatever you think Kailash is, that's what you will get back. If you think Kailash is only like 2 kilometers, you will only walk 2 kilometers. If you think it's 100 kilometers, you will get 100 kilometers. It's just projection of your own mind. And if you go with the attitude of no humility, you will only get that. And I think you have touched every single aspect in what a person may go through in Kailash, the aging, the ego, and the tiredness, the sickness, the humility, surrender. You've named it all. To me, I think there's nothing really, you touched every aspect. The only thing.
Well, there is one thing, is the celestial beings with the Mansarovar
Yeah,
lake.
I want to know about that, because I have Mohanji said for us to go to Mansarovar and look at these beings, but in my 4 times I've been there, I've never seen any beings. So can you please talk about how can uh, I know that they don't show up when it's loud noise around. So please share some things on that.
Yes, they're for real. These celestial beings are definitely coming to take a bath and dip in the lake. And if I did not see this with my own physical eyes, I probably wouldn't believe it. I'm pretty sure, because it's just so out there. It's so unbelievable. But it happened that very first year when I went, 2014, and we reached at some point in the evening. We reached. We reached in the afternoon, and then we slept at night at the Mansarovar lake. So they said early morning we will leave, but as we were sleeping there, the accommodation was right by the lake. It's like on the beach of the lake. So, I woke up on my own around 3:30 in the morning, And then Ami from South Africa and I, we just felt like going, because we heard that sometimes the celestial beings come, and we felt like going to the lake and just witness that. And so Brahma Muhurta time between 3 and 6 a.m. is the most sacred time, right? So this was like 3:30. We went there, and it was there was a bit of a cold wind, so it's not like you plan to stand there forever, you know, it's cold. But two of us were talking something about high civilizations, aliens, and I don't know what we were talking about. And then we were kind of chanting and hugging, and basically this is when it happened. Like, we're looking, and there's some, just like a, you know, let's say Venus star, you know, you can see a star, glittering star, that's quite, you know, shiny, and it starts to move, you know, and we're like, is this a star, or is it's moving? And then there's a small change in colors, like very mild rainbow colors. So it shifts to mild pink, to mild turquoise, to mild, I don't know, golden. And
So it's like a star changing colors.
yeah, and slowly moving, you know, so slowly moving towards the lake. So we were in awe. We were like, oh my God, you know. And then it goes, pook, takes a dip in the water, then slowly comes out. Then again, but as you're looking at it, you start to feel this energy in your body, you know, like definitely heart chakra. I remember I felt forehead, like this vibration. When you're just staring at that light, you do feel something, you know. And we were like beyond excited, you know. So we saw a couple of them. Then it became a bit quiet. Then we got so excited. We were like, oh, we have to tell others. So we ran to the accommodation, and we brought more people. With, wake up, wake up! This is not time to sleep. You know, the celestial beings are taking a dip in the lake. You have to come and see it. So we brought a couple of them, and then we were standing there, nothing, nothing. So it's almost like they were looking at us. Maybe they imagined it, you know. And we felt a bit, you know, crappy. Like, you know, we woke them up from warm bed. Everybody's tired, and we have to walk a lot the next day. So it's not like, you know, nice thing to do to someone for nothing, you know. So some of them went back, and there was one lady that stayed. And then we were waiting a bit more, nothing. And then we turned our backs, we started walking towards the accommodation. And we took a couple of steps. And then I felt that familiar sensation on the heart chakra, which I felt when I was looking at them. Now I felt it from the back. And I turned around, and there's another one. Oh, it's like, don't go, here it is. So all of us like stood, you know, and we were looking. So three of us were there, and we were looking. And then again, it was even coming a bit closer this time. And I literally lost my breath because I thought it's going to come really close, you know. Then at some point it stopped coming closer and just took a dip, and again started moving up, and then it's gone. But the excitement we felt was like, wow, you know, it was just so special, you know. It's just surreal to see something like that. And so I understood how not everybody was meant to experience it, you know. So see, most of them went back. Only this one lady stayed back, and I was happy that, you know, it's what we were speaking was validated in a way. So it's not like we lied. But I understood that there is a reason who gets to see it, who I don't know. Then in 2019 when we went, I was so eager to see them again, you know. And I came to the lake. I brought extra layers of clothes, and I'm gonna sit here the whole night if needed. And unfortunately, there was continuous laughter and kind of like people who are drunk, you know, and they're partying on the beach, kind of a noise. And I was really annoyed, and I went over there. I said, can you please stop talking? You know, this is a sacred lake. We are waiting for celestial beings to come, and you're just continuously making noise. But they don't see you as an authority, and they wouldn't stop. And they just kept talking, and nothing happened. And then I got really annoyed. I was so disappointed. So in a way, yeah, it was just, and I just knew they were not gonna show up when these people are there, because they don't deserve it. They're like spiritual tourists who came there to party, as part of some other tour. Doesn't matter. I know who they were, but I don't want to say it. But it's like really not at all reflecting any spiritual teaching. Like when it's almost like you come to the most holy place and you don't have the right attitude.
Right. Right.
So that wasted the experience for all of us. We just couldn't. So it's difficult to guarantee that it's going to happen again when we go. I can only pray for it, and that we pray that there are right people at the lake at that time, or there's nobody there at the time. That's even better. So that, it opens up the space for the celestial beings to come. But the sensation that I felt in me at that time, I still remember it, when these things are like very unique experiences that they leave a specific flavor in your heart. And you can tell that, these are beings that communicate through telepathy that are much higher frequency than we are. And that presence is very strong, their presence is very strong. So definitely Mansarovar Lake is magical place. That's like really, so even if somebody cannot do the Kailash Yatra, just to come to Mansarovar and see Kailash with your physical eyes from there, take a dip in Mansarovar Lake, be in that energy, that's already a big thing. But of course, to actually walk the entire yatra of 3 days and see, there's so many things to see, like what left a deep impression on me was also the Tibetan people that we met. And they go the opposite way. They do Tibetans do the Kailash Yatra in the anti-clockwise direction. So as you walk, you suddenly come across them, and
They touch your
some
heart.
they really, yeah, and some of them, they wear some specific type of suit, and they do just like Surya Namaskar, how you dive in and come out. They don't walk. They go like a snail, like that.
They prostrate and go all the
Yeah,
way
can
anti-clockwise.
you imagine? That's really. So one of them did that, and sliding through a pile of dung, of pony dung, they don't hide away from the dung or the stone or anything. Whatever is on the way, they just go through. Unimaginable dedication, it's like really something. So there's a lot of things to experience there, but definitely when you start walking, you realize how tough it is to walk even on the straight pathway, when it's flat. Like, so some people think, oh, pony is going to save me. You can't ride a pony too long, like it's uncomfortable for your lower back, and overall, it's not a solution to think that you can do the entire yatra on a pony. But if you are really desperate and you can't walk, at some point it's good to have that option, of a pony. But these Sherpas, also they don't speak English. They're not going to be next to you all the time. So there's like a whole lot of games being played by Divine when you're like, I paid my Sherpa and now he's gone, and now I don't have my food, I don't have my water. So they kind of appear and disappear. All sorts of divine leelas. But yeah, it was for me. I remember that first Kailash Yatra. What you feel like you're very close to the destination, but then the more you walk, you feel like some kind of fata morgana happens, and like it's like the more you walk, the further away it gets.
I told you, Mohanji said, it's all in your mind. The more you tell yourself this is taking long, it's going to keep getting longer and longer. It's that effect when you say
everything is kind of skewed over there. Yeah. Like, what is happening? So, so finally, and you feel like there's both of the legs are like, they're like 100 kg each, so heavy, and you just don't feel you have any strength, and you're not in the mood, So this altitude sickness really gets to you, So people, when they prepare for Kailash, they go to normal hills, and they're like, so a bit of breathing. Over there, the breathing is like, it's more like that, and like you have
but
asthma
you
or
overcame
something.
that. I remember reading your blog, and things changed for you when that true heart opened up and the true surrender happened, and then things were shifted next level. And
Yeah, it actually happened that first Kailash Yatra when I came to
Very good.
Tolma Pass, then I went to
Very
Gaurikund, then
good.
I had a really beautiful experience there. But then walking back, it's like you look up and it's like a hill and the stones are like dark and sharp. And sometimes you have to really lift your leg high to step on the next stone. And then you feel like just each step is like you feel this breath is like, oh, and then you just don't have any energy, and then you enter into some kind of crisis, like mentally you feel like I'm not gonna make it, what if I die here, it's like all kinds of thoughts come because you just feel like there's no way I'm gonna make it, like I can barely take a couple of steps and look at this hill, so sometimes you just enter into this. So at some point I had this desperation hit me and I was like and then I looked up and there was a few drops, there was like mild rain. And I just remembered Divine Mother and I just went, and just clearly as I was inhaling, suddenly my lungs just opened. The passage of air opened and I'm like, I can breathe, I can breathe. And then I was walking like super fast. I was so joyous. And then I reached the starting point where my Sherpas was waiting with the pony. He's like, Madam Pony. I said, no pony for me. And I was walking. I was so happy. I was literally floating the rest of the
Amazing.
yatra because it was like a divine blessing, how it happened. But these are the moments that you remember the most. Sometimes we don't realize the importance of being in some discomfort or pain, because
Absolutely.
then when the opposite happens, that
It-
really stays with you,
yeah.
and that's actually says a lot about our earthly experience. We should not run away from discomfort or pain, because at
Amazing.
some point it gives us the experience that then really transforms you. So you establish that direct connection and experience of divine, and you learn that you can fully trust the divine love, the divine presence, and it's there, it's all real, and you're taken care of. And that's definitely a feeling you get when you finish the Kailash Yatra. You just feel it's just you and divine, it's just so beautiful. It's so beautiful, and the whole journey just really when you come home, I remember I came home, I just felt like being in silence. I just want to be in silence. I feel so empty from inside. And I love that emptiness, like all the noises are gone, all the clogging of the mind is gone. And then I remember I went in my city, Novi Sad, I went by Danube River, and I loved just watching the river flow. It's like
Like
that
being in a
witness.
samadhi state. You're in a
Yeah,
samadhi
it's
state.
yeah, I'm just like witnessing the flow of the river, and it's like so beautiful. And it took me a while to get back into activities, so that's why I would tell people, like, if you go for Kailash Yatra, don't just go back to work the next day, You need another couple of days to just integrate the experience and be with yourself, you know, uh, synthesize everything within yourself, let it all kind of settle down a little bit, and then you go back to your usual life. But definitely you will feel different. You will feel that this is the most magical trip I ever took, and it is something that it's understandable why it's considered the holiest of pilgrimages in Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, so many people. But it really doesn't matter from which religion you come, or if you even have a religion. Whichever background you come from, Kailash is going to work on you. That's 100%. Yeah.
You have explained everything so beautifully, Devi ji. I don't think there's anything left for me to speak. I think I learned more from you because I was not aware of this Shakti aspect of Kailash, the inner Kora aspect. If you could just share a few thoughts on the Devkum aspect. I know it's happening
Mhm.
next year,
Yeah.
but regardless of that, Kailash is not a journey that you should be putting off if you have a calling to go now. How was that different in comparison to 2014 and 19? Did you experience a big
Yeah.
shift after doing Inakora? Because people are crazy about that aspect. So coming from a person like you who's been there a few times and you have done inner Kora, just want some thoughts on that.
Yes, that special year called Devi Mohan happens every 12 years, right? So the first one I went to was 2014. Now the next one will be 2026. So Mohanji and I agree that we'll take our daughter Mila as well. So that will be next year. But if somebody wants to go this year as well, I would say that man proposes, but God disposes. This is how they say. We live at a time of so many uncertainties. There can be a regional war or some kind of war happening that, as you snap your fingers. There are like power shortcuts, natural catastrophes, you name it. Because solar flares, this, that. Like we live in. This is the time we live in, is meant to be a bit chaotic, but that chaos supports our spiritual growth, so that's the good side of it. So we never know. We plan to go in 2026, but if someone has a chance to go this year, it shouldn't be missed, because you never know what can happen. So now it's open, it's available, the yatra is happening. So whoever wants to join this year is more than welcome. I do hope it will happen as well next year, and that will be the next Deva Kumbh. So it happens every 12 years, and doing the Kailash Yatra on that year makes you eligible for inner Kora. So inner Kora is much more challenging than the outer Kora and the usual Kora, the Yatra that we take. Inner Kora goes much closer to Kailash, and you're literally touching Kailash at some points, and you do also climbing using the ropes. So imagine just walking up the hill is already difficult. Now pulling your weight up using ropes, it's very tough when you don't breathe properly, so that was far more challenging than we thought. Like I did go to the gym. I did prepare, because I knew like I have quite rich hips, and I need my arms to be able to lift my butt, so I'm like, I better strengthen my arms, because I'm going to be using these ropes. But still, no matter how much you train, it's just tough, and you skid. There's like little pebbles against the ice, and your feet are skidding against the ice, and you're pulling up, and and it's just been horrible, really. And there was this point where we couldn't even use the ropes anymore, and we were supposed to catch the hands of these Tibetans who are by that passage, and that was the toughest part, because you really get scared that what if I just lose my strength and I lose my grip and I just can't catch my breath. So I make this big effort to catch his hand, and then I need to breathe like 10 times just to get enough oxygen, because like I'm breathing but oxygen is not coming in, and I'm not able to make the next effort, because that requires energy, and I'm not getting enough oxygen, and they don't speak English, and you can't explain them, and they literally, some of them were laughing at us. They're like, look at these ridiculous people, and we are like desperate. It's like, so it's just been tough, it was just tough, but we went through it. And then when we reached the top, I thought, okay, another 2-3 hours of walking, and we're gonna reach our accommodation, and finally you will lie down and rest. So I asked the Sherpa, how many hours until we get there, and he was like talking something, he showed something like so I thought 2 hours. I'm like, okay, I'll just make it for another. So we are walking and walking and walking, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, like it's been now so many hours, we still have, and in the end it was 8 hours. So what that didn't mean 2 hours, obviously. I don't know what he meant, but I figured he doesn't speak English. And this is like and the toughest part, I have to say, for anyone doing Kailash Yatra is this intimate moments that we have with toilet, right? We are all used to going to toilet alone in intimacy, and that's something that's normal for any human being, man or woman, especially the longer one. You just can't do it in front of people. It's very embarrassing, and it smells, and it's just like it's fecalia. It's like it's not something you want to do in front of somebody. And some people cannot. They get constipated because they just mentally cannot do it. And very often in Kailash Yatra, it happens that you can only do it at some point when the bus stops or when there's a break, and you can't just, oh, I have to go to toilet, sorry, and off I go. No, because they told us, there are wild dogs that can bite your butt, and you can't just go on your own. In the middle of the night, you go somewhere and you return with half of your butt missing. So it's like, no, you just don't go on your own. So this thing with toilet is it's really challenging, and there we
It has
have all
gotten
sorts
better
of
though.
stories.
It has gotten better
Really?
since 2019. I can tell you, when
Uh-huh.
2017 things were very weird, but now it's definitely changed, definitely much more manageable. It
Is
has
it?
gotten
They
better.
have more toilet facilities?
Yes, they're dirty, but still it's more closed and not open like was before. So they're still dirty. I would not deny that.
When I went, they
So,
were so
yeah,
dirty that you wished you went outside.
yeah, yeah. Still holds true.
So,
No, but
let's
I
not
think
make
all
it too
these
graphic, but
all,
I
all
saw some things in there that left a very deep imprint. I don't want to see that again.
but gives you a new appreciation for what you have. I think you come back as a new transformed being. You know, your ego is bashed because people are laughing at you because of your lack of, like you said, Sherpas, and people were laughing because you can't breathe. This has been the experience of many
Yeah.
others actually. So the ego gets bashed. You're
It's
walking.
all bashing the ego, you feel so helpless.
Yeah.
No, really, you feel like punching those Tibetans. Like, how can you laugh? They see you like suffering, but it probably looks funny to them because they're breathing normally, They don't understand why we make such a drama. And everybody makes a drama when you can't breathe. You get this fear of death, like you're supposed to climb and you're like, wait, I'm not getting enough breath. I'm like, oh, come on, let's get
Yeah.
going, And you're like, you feel there's like very specific type of anger that comes at you, So these kind of moments were really,
Are needed, I think. They're needed, I think. In the long run, you go through them, but I think that's what transforms you. I've been through those
yeah.
moments. I can go back to my own journey, and I've been through this. Same as what you're saying, but it really breaks you down. That's what you need to uh, come out of it as a shining star, I feel. Like
But in 2014, when I woke up, that first accommodation that we had after walking for like, I don't know how many hours, 10 hours or something, that first day of walking, at
Mhm.
least it's flat. We were not climbing the Dolma. But then we reached that accommodation and I was like so tired. And it's very basic, accommodation. And they have this metal stairs and the noise of people walking on those stairs and stuff. It just reminds you of some Holocaust, You get
Mhm.
this weird feeling that you are in some sort of a Holocaust. And then, uh, especially when they suddenly started banging, like they woke us up at like 5 a.m. or something, banging against some metal, stair or something, and with some shouting and banging, and then you wake up and you think it's the end of the world, and then you come outside and it's like gloomy and kind of foggy, and you feel so weak, and you're like, oh my God, I'm not gonna make it. I feel horrible, like that altitude sickness. And then, so I was telling my mom, all these experiences, and she's like, and people actually pay for this? That was her reaction. Like, why would somebody want to experience that? I said, well, okay, it has its parts that are tough, but then you toughen up. It's
Yeah.
just like people who experience Holocaust. Do you think they enjoyed it? Of course not. But they toughened up. And at least here, not a prisoner of war. You are going for your own spiritual elevation. You know why you're going. But it just toughens you up. Like you go through the super uncomfortable moments. And you really see what you're made of. You get to meet parts of you would never meet otherwise. And that's yet another part of it. So definitely, no matter what kind of facilities they make, these Chinese facilities are not very cozy at all. They
No,
just don't have that trait in their personality.
no, they
It's just
don't.
kind
No, but it's all part of the journey.
of, it's
And
all part of the package.
yeah, part of the
But
package.
yeah.
But it makes you appreciate life after you come back, and
and what Mohanji does for us is that contrast. Did you tell them about this contrast of the 5-star hotel and then
yes,
0-star?
you can say it. You will do a better job than me.
No, because it's such a funny contrast, you know, when we go from 5-star to
No
0-star or -star, you know, I don't know where it goes, you know, on that ranking. But yeah, like we start, and I think that's actually the beauty of spiritual journey, where you experience those ups and downs and those oscillations, and you really once you come back to that 5-star in Kathmandu, oh boy, how you appreciate that food, how you appreciate that tub and that shower and that bed.
Yeah.
You'll be like appreciating it like anything, as if you came to, I don't know, which star hotel, you know. It's like you're in heaven, literally. That's how you feel after you go through that whole ordeal. And but then part of you also is like detached a bit. It kind of witnesses it all. You know, you feel like a different person. You know, you go through this experience, and literally, just like when a baby is squeezed through a birth canal, you know, and all the water is squeezed out of the lungs, and then the baby takes that first breath, and so similarly here, something is squeezed out of you. You know, something a different part of you is born, and you feel different. You know, so it's really good to come back to that same starting point, the 5-star hotel in Kathmandu. And that person that went, was it 5 days earlier, and now is a different person. Definitely everybody will feel that, you know. So it's good to have that contrast, definitely.
Thank you for that. I think you've done a great job in giving us a clear picture of what Kailash can look like.
Realistic. I didn't decorate it.
No, I think it's important to give this viewpoint because these are the challenges one might face, but in these challenges we get to see our true self, because those hidden things under the mattress that we are just not willing to see comes up during these challenges, and that's what I think you meant by the mirror call Kailash.
Yes.
Everything just comes at you and blows at your face, but you did an amazing job. And anything else you would like to just close, tell the viewers about Kailash? Any advice from you before we close this session?
Yeah, I feel.
But still, I'm asking you.
Yeah, I feel that it's important whom you go with, and usually it's divinely arranged that a specific group of souls, they gather together. So you will see that when you walk the yatra, most of the time you feel like just not talking and just chanting a mantra and focusing on one step at a time. But then there are these moments when you share stuff, and it's precious to have people of similar frequency together, and you tend to get close to those people a lot because you shared some really sacred and powerful moments. So that's where, you know, that moment of connecting with the spiritual master and being part of a certain shared a group of people who share the same values. I think it's a beautiful thing. So you can go to Kailash Yatra with tourist groups and all that, but I feel that when you go with that feeling of spiritual family and with some sense of belongingness already, that makes it special. And of course, connection with Guru Tattva through a spiritual master, through Guru, that it gives it a different a note of intimacy and connection, and really deepens your intimacy with divine. So definitely, I remember my own relationships with some of the people with whom I went for yatra deepened a lot after that experience. And for many times when we met afterwards, we love sharing our experiences, and we would just get over tea or coffee and just blah 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 and ha ha ha. And you know, it's just endless sorts of inspiration and laughter and you know, hugs and tears, and so it's just so deeply enriching. And this is why we are alive. You know, we are not here to just be comfortable, watch TV. You know, whatever. This is like real deal Holyfield. You know, this is like something you would want to make a movie about. You know, so definitely, it's an experience not to be missed. And at least once in a lifetime, I feel everyone should experience it. It's not, as I said, it's not that you have to belong to some religion to go there, but to really go and see why people consider this place so special, you know. So in Ernst Moldashev's book, when I saw the drawings, you know, there's so many different smaller pyramids. There are so many magical places there, and the mysteries of it, you know, that it really blows your mind. I mean, I don't know how he discovered all this, but I would recommend that book by Ernst Moldashev to be read before you go for Kailash, because for me it gave me a completely different understanding, you know, after reading that book. So I think he did a great job with this book, and a lot of stuff he said that really, really interesting. But definitely in the olden days, you know, we had this pyramid system. There were pyramids all around the world. They were forming a grid. Just like what we have internet today, there was an internet happening, you know, and people were able to travel astrally, consciously. They had telepathy. They had many. So all these abilities that we lost with considering ourselves civilized, but so cut off. And I feel Kailash Yatra also gives you that extra step closer to your real inner power and our nature as multidimensional conscious beings. You know, we are not just human beings in physical body suits. You know, we are so much more than that. And definitely, Kailash will give you at least a glimpse of that multidimensionality and of something far higher than what you thought you were living until then. You know, so whom you go with is also very important, and every moment of the yatra is to be cherished, you know, all those ups and downs that we go through together. So I really look forward to my next Kailash Yatra experience, and yeah, I hope it will happen 2026, but also this year, whoever goes, we look forward to hearing about their experiences. And I always like when I see a group going and then I read about, like, yep, I get it, like I hear you, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, so
Wow.
that's all from me.
Thank you so much. I enjoyed listening to you. No matter how, like you said, you know, we never get tired of talking about Kailash. It's like an energy portal. Once it opens up, you just want to keep going, and we can speak forever, but we have a limited time. So thank you so much for your time today. I know it was last minute. I really appreciate everything you've shared, especially the book that you've mentioned. We will put that in our description, so anybody who wants to read that book before going, uh, definitely do so. I definitely will do it this year, as I will be going this year again, and I will.
Oh, congrats.
It's like my second home, and so it's always a calling from my heart. And when you were giving those last few thoughts on Kailash, my heart was just feeling all of it. It's just so much love that was coming through from your words. So thank you so much. Thank you.
Oh, wonderful.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Devi.
Bhavani. Really
Yeah.
enjoyed it. Lots of
Thank
love.
you. Lots of love to you and to all the people who are listening. Please listen and share if you like. Thank you.